Hello, and welcome to this month's Superintendent Update, our opportunity to talk with Burlington Public Schools Superintendent Eric Conti about the latest school news. Eric, thanks for coming by once again, and happy pre-Thanksgiving.
Of course, Rich. You too.
And so I just want to start off this week. I know at the latest school committee meeting, it was brought up that, the district has seen sort of a slight uptick in COVID cases. So what's the situation? How are things going? Any changes in that front?
So confirm, yes, we had been averaging 2 or 3 cases a week. I think last week, what we mentioned to the school committee is I believe we had 12 positive cases. So, but I guess I would frame it, and we're seeing cases increase across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as well. So
yeah, definitely.
So it may be related to the transition with the colder weather. More people are moving inside. So we don't know what to attribute it to. We'll follow each week carefully. If we continue to see an expansion, we'll try to trace it back to where those cases are happening. By and large, it seems like cases are still coming from outside the district
right,
not generating inside the district. So it may be behaviors outside of school that are causing the increase, not necessarily anything we need to change within the school, but it's going to take us a week or two to try to figure that out.
Right. And now, I know there had been some changes in the school, like with the middle school and elementary, now, eating in the cafeteria again, but that just started last week, so it seems unlikely that those two things are correlated.
Correct, but we'll see. And our neighbors who have had their cafeterias open since the start of school have not seen an increase in cases traceable back to their cafeterias. So again, I'm assuming that we will experience the same, we won't see spread similar to them, but I said we'll look at it. And again, I think that's what we're committed to doing, is really to try to have as few mitigation factors in place that allow students and staff to be safe. So that's what and where that exactly falls changes, and it may change with the season. It may change as more and more people get vaccinated. It may change again as people get boosters. There's a lot of factors that we're thinking about.
Right, and obviously, the level now for the shots has been, 5 to 11-year-olds are now eligible. I don't know if you are able to track how many of the kids in that age range are getting vaccinated, or just put out the general sort of, counsel that it's a good idea.
Again, I've been careful not to put out my counsel because I'm not a doctor, but my counsel has been, I really want families to talk to their pediatrician, and if their family decision with their pediatrician is to get their 5 to 11-year-old vaccinated, then they should do so. I think that's an option that they have. Unless the State Department of Public Health makes some sort of change or mandate. We do require other vaccines of children before they enter school. Where this is going to fall, again, I don't know. But I think those are the conversations for the health experts. Again, not necessarily for me, but I think having that population vaccine eligible, I think, is a good thing. And I just think families should work with their pediatrician. Can we find out numbers? The answer is we can through the Board of Health, but it's so early in the process, we haven't started to track that yet, so we'll probably start looking after the holiday.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how's the Test and Stay program working?
Test and Stay program, I think, has helped keep kids in school, which is the intention. So in that sense, it's been working well. I want to make sure I give credit to Barbara Conley and our entire nursing staff, because it's one more thing in a very complex year that they have to maybe not necessarily do directly, but they have to oversee. They're always involved with the contact tracing. I think they have been working closely with the Board of Health. Again, always want to thank the Board of Health through that. But the Test and Stay has been very helpful, I think, to us to keep kids in school. And so we're trying to make sure it's available as often as possible. Again, our goal is to keep as many kids in school as we possibly can, and participation in the Test and Stay requires parental consent as well. So again, if there are parents who have not filled in a consent form, again, I would encourage them to to do so that if their child is considered a close contact, meaning that they're not vaccinated, that they can stay in school with a negative rapid test.
Right.
5 days in a row.
Yes. Now, I mentioned the cafeterias being open in this context of COVID, but let's talk about it in the context of, maybe a little bit of a degree of returning to normalcy. I know from what I've heard from both, middle school principal Carrie Purchase and director of operations Bob Kuna, seems like it's a positive step in the right direction. The kids are excited to be back, to have that experience and not be eating in their classrooms anymore.
Sure. Again, I think a big missing piece from last year or even the last 18, 20 months has been the socialization part of school,
Right.
which is very important, the social emotional learning. And lunch actually used to be my favorite subject. So I think
Me too.
I think that again, I think it's the reintroduction of an experience that's good, that's good for kids. I think the logistics of managing lunch in one space versus 24 or 30 spaces is also, there's some logistical ease.
Right.
And I think principals had to get really creative with their scheduling to make sure everyone got fed in their classrooms. And I think the schedules then will be returning to a more predictable place. And so again, I think there are benefits to returning, but we're watching it closely. So if we do see spread in cafeterias, or there's a change in the variant, or again 1,000 other things,
Well, of course,
that we will make adjustments to that. So, but again, I think our sort of critical, our objectives here are to keep as many kids in school as we can,
yes.
and then to have as few mitigation factors as we can possibly have to keep students and staff safe. So
Right.
I think that's sort of those are our guiding principles.
Right. I think it's it seems like a nod towards normalcy to have the kids
Yes.
back in the
Yes.
cafeterias and not, having to have the cafeteria staff bring and deliver all the meals to each classroom, which I also understand was getting to be kind of a difficult thing.
Yeah, sure. It's a lot to feed that many kids quickly, distributed across a bunch of classrooms. So yes. So I should thank them too, right? I've been thanking everybody. It's Thanksgiving time, so gratitude.
That's what we should do.
Our CAF workers again have done an amazing job to get everyone fed, and again hoping with the cafeterias open that again they'll continue to do a great job and it'll be easier for them.
Yeah. Another thing that is a positive that seems like it's going really well is our Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Ray Porch. He's been doing these online Let's Talk About It sessions. They seem very well attended. They seem very engaged. Just talk about, your thoughts on just sort of, how he's kind of jumping into the role and kind of rolling things out.
He is certainly jumping into the role, and I appreciate Ray for more than just his work on diversity, equity, inclusion. We sort of get a twofer with Ray, and that he has instructional expertise as well. So he's helping us, again, as an educational organization in all aspects. So I think that's been, it's been very helpful. I think the diversity, equity, and inclusion conversations are not school-based alone. They are community-based. I think a lot of them are about community, be it a school community or a larger community. So I think the Let's Talk About It opportunities are important. I think for people to hear about the type of conversations we're having in school, for them to experience those conversations themselves. And a lot of the work that has to be done by people like you and me, and we have to reframe things, learn new things, learn facts about our history, and just be sort of, I say, have a growth mindset. Be open to ideas that maybe we didn't experience or weren't familiar with growing up as we had grown up. So I think those community conversations are critical. I'm happy people are participating. I'm participating. I'm there as a learner, and I've enjoyed the sessions. I think the school committee has also been in attendance, which has been great. We all need to continue to do our own work and to continue to learn. So as a window into what we're doing in schools, again, it's positive, and I know the town is also interested in this work, and I just think it's a great way to reduce people's fear, because if people don't know what this is about or are questioning or have other ideas in their head, I think it's a way for them to experience what we're trying to accomplish.
Yes, I think there was some hesitancy among some people about the implication of what it meant that we had to have such a role in the schools, and I think maybe those are being addressed. It seems to me.
Yeah, I think some people will have hesitancy. These issues are difficult. They're not simple, and I respect anyone's hesitancy in this, and I just think we want people to have an open mind, and I think we will meet them where they are. And again, we want them to grow from where they are. That's what we think about with students too, right? We're a public school system. Everyone's welcome. We meet them where they are, and then we hope everyone grows from that point forward. And that's what we hope those conversations are moving ahead.
Right, absolutely. Couple last things. I guess one kind of negative thing, we did have an incident at the middle school where some graffiti was found. I know it wasn't like in a prominent place where most people could see it, but it was, still there. What's the latest on are you looking? I know you're looking into it, so kind of where do things stand on that?
So, Rich, the placement of it was mentioned for a particular reason.
Yeah.
And the placement was mentioned not to minimize the incident.
No.
So, no, I just want to be clear because the placement was mentioned because we wanted to treat it as if it were in a very prominent place, and that's, I believe, what we have done, and I want to, again, commend Carrie Purchase and her team for doing so. The reason it was mentioned is it might have been there longer than we knew. So it wasn't like the front of the school where we knew it wasn't there and then it was there the next morning and we could sort of put a time frame on it. It was really to convey that we weren't sure whether it was just discovered, whether it was how far back it was done. We may not be able to identify the person who was responsible for it. So that was the reasoning for identifying that. But again, our response has been the same, whether it was, again, out in front of the school or in a place that was not really available for everyone to see. So I'm saying I think our response has been the same. And they've been both sort of immediate and then longer term. So I think the immediate was to try to find out as much factual information as we can, who, what, why, where, what happened. And then longer term was to support the communities who might have been impacted by that. And then especially with middle school and younger children, it's the processing around behavior that's as important or more important than sort of the adult reaction to it. So why was this done? Why was it hurtful? Having students understand the consequences of their action, taking responsibility for their own actions, that's a huge part of middle school. So it's that processing, it's the lessons afterwards that are important. And I know that, again, Ms. Purchase and her team and the entire school have been working on those follow-up lessons and the processing that go along with situations like this. So we condemn, again, any act, behavior that that discriminates against anyone, and certainly against our core values. I think that if we could identify the individual or an individual responsible, we would certainly need to address the behavior with that individual. But as an overall community, again, how we respond is then to process and be supportive, again, especially with our younger students. So I think, again, the middle school has been very thorough, and I think the work will continue. This is not something, I think an incident brings attention to it, but the whole point of our diversity, equity, inclusion work is that's going to be ongoing, and then hopefully we won't have these incidents moving forward.
And then last thing, just I don't want to get into any details of behind the scenes because I know it's the way it's supposed to be done. But it was an issue that at the last school committee meeting, a little bit of, I don't want to say dust up, but some of the school committee members were talking about the process around the teacher contract. Maybe things being discussed on social media that weren't entirely accurate. How are things going in as far as the negotiations?
Well, which is sort of funny because my role in that is sort of in the middle because
Yeah, I know.
I have to continue to work with the teachers. I work for the school committee. The contract is between the teachers and the school committee. So my job is really to protect the kids in that whole equation, right? So that's what I do.
Right.
Again, I think some of this is fairly typical for negotiations, the framing of the issue. It's a little bit of a step backwards from the conversations that we've had, but I'm sure with the pandemic and everything else, it's a bit of a, there are uncertain times. I have no doubt that our teachers are showing up and working incredibly hard in their classrooms, and I have no doubt that the school committee honors their work and really wants to have the teachers continue to do that work in Burlington. So I think it'll settle out. I think some of it, as people say, is what seeing the sausage made is not always pretty.
Yeah, exactly.
So some of that is with social media now, people might hear more or see more than they typically have. I would just ask that, again, those conversations, not to believe everything you read on social media and saying, again, I think both sides are approaching this in good faith. I think they're very experienced, both sides at doing this work. So I'm confident that we'll sort of work this out. But have no doubt that teachers are coming to work every day and doing their jobs.
Yeah, I mean, from my outside perspective, I also think that both sides are on the same team at the end of the day, and it's all about, the students. So I don't think I imagine everything will kind of work out in the end as well.
So that's it. Just a couple other things. I'm sorry, maybe not to go on, but we're trying a new drop-off pickup at Memorial. So I know there are some bumps because it's new, but instead of having the buses out back and the parents in front, we've reversed that.
Okay.
So we are getting some data collection on drop-off pickup times, and we'll be getting some feedback from people who have been participating in that, and hopefully we'll be sharing that feedback because from theory to action, there may be
right.
So some things that aren't working out as way we had, but we're studying it, and we'll look at that moving forward. So I know that's been a topic, and other than that, it's going to be December here really quickly. So along with wishing everyone here at BCAT and across the community a happy Thanksgiving, my understanding is Hanukkah starts on November 28th as well, very early. So we need to wish everyone a happy start to their Hanukkah if they celebrate Hanukkah as well. So again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually meeting with Rabbi Abramson this afternoon to do a little piece on Hanukkah. So.
Yeah, and again, the rabbi's been very helpful and supportive of us in our actions in the situation in the middle school as well. So I want to thank her and appreciate her for her support. So.
All right.
All right.
Yes, well, I think I'll see you before the Christmas break, but
of course.
Yes, again,
to everybody else. I'm sorry, new football rivalry. We are kicking off a new football rivalry with Bedford, right? And both teams historically are split. I think we've played over a course of 16 years in the 70s, and so both teams are 8-8. So this is a big game on Thursday. So I want to wish again that the kids and the band and the cheerleaders and everyone, the coaches, just have a great day, and that Burlington starts off the new rivalry with a win.
Hey, we're on a streak. We got two in a row right now.
That's right.
So I think we're looking good. All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time. Again, happy Thanksgiving, happy Hanukkah to everybody, and I will see you next month.
Fantastic. Take care, Rich.
You too.